What if a penny in your pocket is worth more than a luxury car? Today, we reveal the top 3 Abraham Lincoln pennies that could be worth millions of dollars. Watch closely, because the tiny details on these coins could mean a fortune. The 1982 D Mint Mark Lincoln Cent Penny. A coin that looks exactly like the billions of others sitting in jars, forgotten in drawers, or spent without a second thought. Yet, hidden within the ordinary, there exists a ghost. A coin so rare, so profoundly misstruck, that it could transform your pocket change into a life-altering fortune. Stop for a moment. Think about every penny you have ever spent without looking. Every time you tossed a coin into a tip jar, paid for gum, or absent-mindedly dropped change into a vending machine. Now consider this. You may have already held a fortune in your hands and let it slip away. That is the fear that should grip you right now. The fear of having unknowingly passed over a coin worth more than most people's homes. This is not hyperbole. This is the reality of the 1982 D small date copper penny. There are 2 types of people in this world when it comes to pocket change: the spender and the collector. The spender sees a penny as a nuisance, a piece of copper-plated zinc worth less than the time it takes to pick it up. The collector sees possibility. The collector understands that buried in the mundane, in the ordinary chaos of everyday commerce, there are treasures waiting to be discovered. Which one are you? Because right now, somewhere out there, a 1982 D penny is sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten coin purse. And if it is the right one, it is not a penny at all. It is a golden ticket. To understand why this coin is a ghost in the market, you have to understand the chaos of 1982. That year, the United States Mint found itself in a crisis. The rising cost of copper had made it more expensive to produce a penny than the penny was worth. Something had to change. And so, the Mint made the monumental decision to switch the composition of the Lincoln cent from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc alloy. This was a massive logistical undertaking, a transition that would redefine the penny forever. But here is where it gets interesting. The transition did not happen overnight. It was a messy, complicated process that unfolded in stages. During this period, the Mint produced 7 different varieties of the 1982 penny across both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. There were large date coppers, small date coppers, large date zincs, and small date zincs. The vast majority of these are common. They are worth exactly 1 cent, or perhaps a few dollars in pristine condition. They are the ordinary. They are the background noise of numismatics. But then there is the 8th variety, the one that was never supposed to exist, the 1982 D small date copper penny. You see, by the time the Denver Mint introduced the small date design, a design created to improve the strike quality on the new, harder zinc planchets, they had theoretically already exhausted their supply of copper planchets. The transition was supposed to be complete. The copper era was over. But the Mint is not a perfect machine. Leftover copper planchets, the old 3.11-gram bronze blanks, somehow found their way into the presses alongside the new 2.5-gram zinc planchets. And when those presses struck the small date dies onto those leftover copper blanks, a ghost was born. This is the transitional error. A coin that should not exist, struck with a date and a design that was meant only for the new composition. It is the modern equivalent of the legendary 1943 bronze cent, a mistake of monumental proportions that has captivated collectors for decades. But unlike the 1943 bronze, of which a handful are known, the 1982 D small date copper penny is so rare that it barely registers as a blip on the numismatic radar. How rare? Let that sink in for a moment. Out of the billions of pennies struck in 1982, only 2 confirmed examples of this error are known to exist. 2. That is it. Think about the sheer improbability of that. The Denver Mint struck over 6 billion Lincoln cents in 1982 alone. And out of that ocean of metal, only 2 of these specific errors have been authenticated. It is not just rare. It is practically mythical. It is the holy grail of modern coin collecting. A coin that haunts the dreams of every serious numismatist in America. Now, let us get into the technical details. If you want to find this ghost, you need to know exactly what you are looking for. You cannot rely on luck alone. You need knowledge. First, you must have a 1982 penny with a D Mint mark. indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. The mint mark is located just below the date on the obverse, to the right of Lincoln's portrait. That is your first clue. Second, you need to identify the date style. This is critical. The small date variety is visually distinct from the large date. On the small date, the 2 in 1982 is noticeably farther from the rim of the coin. There is more space between the top of the 2 and the edge of the coin. On the large date, the 2 is crowded, sitting much closer to the rim. Additionally, the top loop of the 8 in the small date is typically the same size as the bottom loop, whereas on the large date, the top loop is smaller. Third, and this is the deal breaker, you must weigh the coin. This is the step that separates the dreamers from the discoverers. The copper planchets weigh 3.11 grams. The zinc planchets weigh 2.5 grams. If you have a 1982D penny that weighs 3.11 grams, you have a copper coin. If it also has the small date, you have just found one of the rarest coins in American history. If it weighs 2.5 grams, it is a common zinc coin, worth its face value. The weight is the final, undeniable proof. It is the smoking gun. Because the Denver Mint was never supposed to strike a small date copper penny. The combination of the D mint mark, the small date, and the 3.11 gram weight is the fingerprint of a ghost. So what is this ghost worth? What is the market value of a coin that should not exist, a coin with only 2 known specimens? The numbers are staggering. In 2017, the first authenticated example, discovered by a collector named Paul Malone from Minnesota, sold at a Stack's Bowers Galleries auction for an astounding $18,800. A second example, also in AU58 condition, realized $10,800 at a heritage auction sale. Even subsequent sales have brought $8,400 for the same grade. But here is where the market gets truly exciting. These are the prices for circulated AU58 examples. What happens when a pristine, uncirculated example emerges? What happens when one of these ghosts, untouched by circulation, finds its way to auction? Numismatic analysts project that a high-grade, mint-state example could easily exceed $50,000. Some experts suggest that in today's red-hot market for error coins, the value could climb even higher. The potential market value of this coin is not just a few $1,000s. It is a life-changing sum. The market heat is real. The demand for modern rarities, for coins that represent the intersection of history, error, and extreme scarcity, has never been higher. Collectors and investors are actively searching for these transitional errors. They are paying premiums that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. The 1982D small date copper penny is at the center of this frenzy. It is the crown jewel of the modern Lincoln cent series. And this is where urgency comes in. The longer you wait, the harder it will be to find one. Every day, more of these coins are lost to time, melted down, or simply ignored. The window of opportunity is closing. If you have a jar of pennies, a box of old coins, or even just the change in your pocket, you need to check it right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now, this is not a drill. Let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer it honestly. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your possession? When was the last time you examined a coin before you spent it? If you are like most people, the answer is never. You have been a spender, not a collector. But that can change today. Right now, you have the knowledge. You have the power to transform your perspective. Go to your change jar. Go to your car's cup holder. Go to the drawer where you toss your loose change. Pull out every 1982 penny you can find. Look at the mint mark. Look at the date style. Weigh them. The chances of finding one are infinitesimal. But the reward for finding one is astronomical. This is the ultimate treasure hunt. A search for a ghost that could be hiding in plain sight. And when you are done checking your pennies, when you have caught your breath and maybe even checked a second time, consider this. The 1982D small date copper penny is just one of many ultra-rare coins that could be lurking in your pocket change. There are other transitional errors, other misstruck masterpieces, waiting to be discovered. The world of numismatics is filled with hidden wealth, with coins that look ordinary but are worth fortunes. The key is knowing what to look for. The key is being a collector, not a spender. But that is a story for another time. For now, Focus on the ghost of 1982. Focus on the D, the small date, and the 3.11 grams. Because somewhere out there, that coin is waiting. It is waiting for someone who knows what they are looking for. It is waiting for someone who refuses to let a fortune slip through their fingers. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video. In our next episode, we will dive deep into another ultra-rare coin. A coin that could be sitting in your pocket right now. A coin that might just be worth more than you ever imagined. The hunt is just beginning. Are you ready to join the search? Every single day, Americans unknowingly spend fortunes. They drop coins into vending machines, toss them into jars, and absent-mindedly hand them over to cashiers. But what if the penny you just used to buy a stick of gum was worth more than your house? What if the loose change in your car's cup holder was a $650,000 secret waiting to be discovered? This isn't a fantasy. This is the reality of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin so rare, so shrouded in mystery, that it has become a ghost in the numismatic world. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what makes this penny a legend, the specific errors that turn pocket change into a down payment on a mansion, and why you need to stop what you're doing right now and check your change. Let's talk about the fear that keeps collectors up at night. The fear of loss. Every day, you are surrounded by potential wealth. Think about the last time you emptied your pockets at the end of the day. Did you look at the dates? Did you check for the tiny letter under Lincoln's shoulder? Most people don't. They see a penny and they see a cent. But the collector sees a story, a mistake, and sometimes a lottery ticket. This is the chasm between the spender and the collector. The spender sees face value. The collector sees hidden value. Right now, there are 1981 pennies sitting in jars, forgotten in drawers, and rolling around in cars that are worth thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you aren't looking, you are leaving money on the table. This isn't just about coins. It's about a mindset. It's about recognizing that wealth isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's quiet, copper-colored, and heavier than you'd expect. All right, take a deep breath. I know your mind is racing, thinking about that pile of pennies on your dresser. We'll get to that in a moment. First, we need to understand the ghost we are hunting. The 1981 Lincoln cent is unique because it represents the end of an era. It was the last full year the United States Mint produced pennies in the classic 95% copper composition. This makes every 1981 penny worth more than a cent just for its metal content, about 2 to 3 cents in melt value. But that's not what we care about today. We care about the anomaly. Here is the technical breakdown that separates a common coin from a life-changing one. The 1981 penny was minted in 3 facilities. Denver, marked with a D, San Francisco, marked with an S for proof coins, and Philadelphia. Here's the kicker. The Philadelphia Mint traditionally didn't put a mint mark on their coins during this era. So, a lack of a mint mark is actually standard for the mother mint. Over 7.4 billion 1981 pennies were struck in Philadelphia. You read that right, billions. If you find a 1981 penny without a mint mark, the odds are astronomically high that it's just a standard Philadelphia coin worth a few cents. But the value lies in the condition and the errors. Condition is king. In the world of numismatics, the grade of a coin dictates its price. A heavily worn, brown 1981 penny is copper scrap. But a coin that has retained at least 95% of its original, red, RD copper luster is a different beast entirely. In 2016, a 1981 no-mint mark penny-graded MS67 Plus, red by PCGS sold at Heritage Auctions for $1,058. That's a $1,000 penny from a coin that looked like it just came out of a roll. However, an MS67 Plus is practically flawless. The jump in value from a MS66 to an MS67 is exponential. But wait, this is where it gets truly fascinating. The $650,000 figure we mentioned isn't just about the absence of a mint mark and a high grade. It's about the ghost errors. Here is where we get into the weeds of minting errors. While a standard no-mint mark 1981 penny is common, certain error varieties are the stuff of legend. We are talking about the flip-over double-struck errors. Imagine a coin that gets struck, flips over in the press, and gets struck again. A PCGS-graded MS63, Flip over double struck. 1981 Lincoln cent with no mint mark has been valued at nearly $400. That's a significant premium for a mistake. Then there are the off-metal errors. In 1981, the mint was preparing for the switch to the zinc composition in 1982. Sometimes a copper planchet from 1981 ended up in a press meant for zinc or vice versa. These transitional errors are incredibly rare. Specifically, a 1981 Lincoln cent struck on a copper-nickel-clad dime planchet is a wrong planchet error that captures the imagination of serious collectors. These errors are often unique or part of an extremely small run, pushing their value into the stratosphere. But to hit that $650,000 mark, we aren't just looking for a simple error. We are looking for the perfect storm of errors in a flawless state. The numismatic community is buzzing about the possibility of a 1981 no-mint mark penny with a combination of a severe double die obverse, DDO, a dramatic strike through error, or a clipped planchet that has never been seen before in such high grade. Think about it. 7.4 billion coins were made. The chances of one specific coin having a catastrophic minting error and surviving 45 years in pristine, uncirculated condition are astronomical. That is the definition of a ghost coin. It's a coin that shouldn't exist, yet it does. And when a coin like that hits the auction block, the bidding wars are vicious. We've seen similar anomalies in the Lincoln cent series fetch high five-figure and even six-figure prices, like the 1969 S double die. The 1981 no-mint mark is the next frontier. Now let's talk about the market heat. Right now, the market for high-grade, error-specific modern coins is on fire. Why? Because the older, more obvious rarities have already been found. Collectors are getting savvier with technology, and they are hunting for the coins that were previously overlooked. The 1981 penny is a sleeper coin. It's modern enough that people assume it's worthless, yet old enough to have been minted in copper. This creates an urgent dynamic. As more people learn about these errors, the competition for them intensifies. The window of opportunity to find one of these in the wild is closing. Bank rolls from 1981 are becoming scarcer as hoarders and investors pull them out of circulation for their copper content. This brings us to the emotional core of this video: excitement and urgency. The excitement of finding treasure in the most mundane places is a universal human thrill. The urgency comes from the fact that these coins are disappearing. They are being melted down illegally, but it happens, being lost or simply being spent. If you have a jar of pennies, you are sitting on a time capsule. You are holding history, but more than that, you are holding potential. Stop thinking about the coin as a penny. Think of it as a piece of art, a piece of history, and a potential investment. We need to reset your attention. I want you to pause this video right now. Go to your car, your junk drawer, or your piggy bank. Grab a handful of pennies and look at the dates. Are any from 1981? Do you see a D or an S under the date? If you don't see a letter, look closer. Look at Lincoln's hair. Is it sharp? Is the memorial on the back distinct? If it looks brand new, if it has that shiny, almost reflective red color, you need to put it in a protective sleeve and get it appraised. Don't touch it with your bare fingers. The oils on your skin can degrade the surface and drop the value by hundreds of dollars. This is real. This is happening. The resolution to this treasure hunt is simple: awareness. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is a reminder that wealth is everywhere. It's in the couch cushions. It's in the change jar. It's in the forgotten pocket of that jacket you haven't worn in years. While the specific $650,000 figure represents the absolute pinnacle of value, a perfect combination of errors and condition that may or may not exist yet, the journey to find it is what drives the numismatic community. The documented sales of standard MS-67 plus red 1981 pennies for over $1,000 prove that the value is there. The sale of error coins for thousands more proves that the potential is limitless. So what is the call to action? Start hunting. Educate yourself. Get a magnifying glass. Learn the difference between a red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN coin. Understand that a high-grade coin is worth the investment in grading. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are the gatekeepers to unlocking the true value of your coin. Don't be the person who spends a fortune. Be the person who finds one. This is the thrill of the chase. This is the embodiment of hidden wealth. The 1981 penny is more than just currency. It's a challenge. It's a test of your observation skills and your knowledge. Every time you get change, you are playing the lottery. And the best part? It doesn't cost you anything to play. You reach into your pocket, your fingers brush against loose change, and you pull out a few pennies to cover the difference on your morning brew. You glance down at the date, 1973. Common year. Common coin. You drop it on the counter without a second thought. Now stop right there. What if I told you that the coin you just spent without a care in the world could have been the key to unlocking a life-changing fortune? What if that single, unassuming penny, the very one you were about to hand over for a cup of coffee, was actually worth more than the car you drove to the coffee shop? More than your monthly mortgage payment? More than some people make in an entire year? This is the moment that separates the spenders from the collectors. This is the moment where awareness meets opportunity. And this right here is why you need to pay very close attention to what I am about to reveal. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood, most overlooked, and potentially most valuable coins in modern American numismatics, the 1973 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. A coin that, in the right condition with the right errors, could command a staggering value of up to $500,000. Let that sink in for a moment. $550,000. For a penny. We are going to explore the hidden world of minting errors, the ghost-like anomalies that make this coin a phantom in the marketplace, and why right now, at this very moment, there is a quiet, roaring frenzy building among collectors who know exactly what to look for. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your pocket? I mean, really looked at them? Most people don't. Most people see a penny and they see inconvenience. They see something weighing down their wallet. They see a nuisance. But here is the uncomfortable truth that keeps collectors up at night. Every single day, thousands of potentially valuable coins are spent, discarded, or melted down by people who had no idea what they were holding. The fear of missing out, the FOMO, is real, and it is paralyzing for those who know the secret. The 1973 D. Lincoln Cent is the perfect example of this hidden wealth. On the surface, it looks like any other penny from the 1970s. The familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the stately Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, the little D mint mark just below the date indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. Nothing remarkable. Nothing that would make you stop and stare. But here is where it gets interesting. The Denver Mint produced over 3.5 billion pennies in 1973. That is billion with a B. With that kind of volume, you might think that these coins are about as common as grains of sand on a beach. And for the most part, you would be right. Most 1973 D pennies are worth exactly what you think they are worth, about 2 cents for their copper content, maybe a bit more if they are in pristine, uncirculated condition. But buried within those billions of coins are anomalies, mistakes, ghosts in the machine that make certain specimens worth more than their weight in gold. And this is where the spender versus collector contrast becomes razor sharp. The spender sees a penny. The collector sees potential. The spender sees face value. The collector sees a lottery ticket. The spender moves on with their day. The collector stops, examines, and sometimes discovers a fortune hiding in plain sight. I want you to do something for me right now. I want you to pause this video, go to wherever you keep your loose change, and take a look. Go ahead. I will wait. Do you have a 1973 penny? Do you have a 1973 D penny? If you do, you are already ahead of the game. But the real question is, what does it look like? Because it is not the date alone that makes this coin valuable. It is the errors. It is the imperfections. It is the beautiful, lucrative mistakes that happened during the minting process. Now, we move into Act 2. Let us get technical for a moment. Understanding why a 1973 D penny could be worth a fortune requires understanding how coins are made and where things can go wrong. During the early 1970s, mint marks were not applied to dies using the sophisticated laser technology we have today. Instead, they were punched in by hand. That is right. Human hands, human error, human imperfection. And when you are producing billions of coins, errors are not just inevitable, they are guaranteed. One of the most significant errors associated with the 1973 D Lincoln cent is what experts call a recurring die subsidence error. This is a fancy way of saying that something went wrong with the die itself, the metal stamp used to strike the coin. According to error guides, several reverse dies from the 1973 D cent show a raised area in a similar location on the left side of the memorial building, specifically in the second and third bays. This raised area is often mistaken for a die clash, but experts believe it may be caused by a defect in the metal stock used to make the dies. And here is the kicker. This error is found exclusively on the 1973 D cent. It is a signature, a fingerprint, a mark of rarity that collectors have come to recognize and pursue. But that is just one example. There are also repunched mint marks to consider. Sometimes, when the D was punched into the die by hand, the first punch was not aligned properly, so the mint worker would punch it again and again. The result is a mint mark that shows evidence of multiple strikes, what collectors call a D over D or repunched mint mark error. These varieties are documented and cataloged by specialists, and they add significant value to any coin that possesses them. Then there are off-center strikes. Imagine a coin that was not perfectly aligned when the dies came down. The result is a penny where the design is shifted, sometimes dramatically, to one side. Coins that are off-center by 30% or more, especially those with a full date visible, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And let us not forget about double strikes. In rare cases, a coin fails to eject from the striking chamber properly. The dies come down again, striking the coin a second time. The result is a coin with a ghostly, overlapping image, a true mint error that can command premium prices at auction. But here is what makes the 1973 D penny truly special. Unlike some other years, 1973 does not have a major, widely recognized double die error like the famous 1955 or 1972 pennies. That means the market for 1973 D errors is driven by condition rarity and the specific, less common errors we have just discussed. It is a niche market, a quiet market, and that is precisely why there is so much opportunity for those who know what to look for. According to PCGS, the professional coin grading service, the 1973 D Lincoln cent is relatively common in circulated grades all the way up to MS64 condition. But in MS67 condition, they are genuinely scarce. In fact, there are less than 24 known examples in MS67 or higher, making it one of the tougher issues from the Memorial Cent series. And when you combine that condition rarity with a significant mint error, the value skyrockets. The most valuable standard 1973 D penny ever sold was graded MS67 Plus Red and fetched nearly $1,000 at auction. A 1973 D penny graded MS67 RD sold for $4,993.75 in 2014. But those are just the tip of the iceberg. When you start talking about coins with dramatic errors, off-center strikes, double strikes, cap die errors, and other anomalies, the values can reach astronomical heights. I want you to pause for just a moment and consider the implications of what I am telling you. There are coins sitting in jars, in drawers, in coin rolls at your local bank that could be worth more than your house. And most people have no idea. The market for error coins is heating up. Collectors and investors are increasingly turning their attention to modern coins with significant errors, recognizing that these pieces represent some of the last remaining opportunities to find high-value coins in circulation. In 2022, a 1973 D nickel with a misplaced mint mark error sold for hundreds of dollars at a heritage auction sale. That is a nickel. Imagine what a similarly dramatic error on a penny, a coin with a much larger collector base, could fetch. And here is the part that should make you sit up and take notice. The value of these coins is not just about the errors themselves. It is about the story. It is about the hunt. It is about the idea that you, sitting right there in your living room, could be holding a piece of American history that is worth more than most people will see in a lifetime. But you have to look. You have to pay attention. You have to be the collector, not the spender. So what should you do if you think you have found a valuable 1973 D penny? First, do not clean it. I repeat, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value by removing the natural patina and surface characteristics that graders look for. Second, get a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. You need at least 10x magnification to properly examine the details of your coin. Look at the mint mark. Is it in the right place? Is it doubled? Look at the date. Is it clear and sharp? Look at the overall condition. Is there significant wear? Or does the coin appear to be in uncirculated condition? Third, weigh your coin. A standard 1973D penny should weigh approximately 3.11 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, it could be struck on the wrong planchet, a dramatic error that can be worth thousands. Fourth, consider having your coin graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Certification provides authenticity and a verified grade, which is essential if you plan to sell your coin at auction. And finally, do your research. There are numerous online resources, including error coin databases and collector forums, where you can compare your coin to known varieties and errors. The more you know, the better equipped you will be to recognize a valuable find. Now, I want to leave you with a thought. Every single day, millions of pennies change hands in this country. Most of them are worth exactly 1 cent. But some of them, a tiny, vanishingly small fraction of them, are worth a fortune. The 1973D Lincoln cent is one of those coins. It is a ghost in the market, a coin that most people overlook, but that a growing number of collectors are hunting for with increasing intensity. Will you be one of the people who finds it? Or will you be the one who spends it without a second thought? The choice is yours. But remember this. The next time you reach into your pocket and pull out a handful of change, take a moment to look. Take a moment to wonder. Because the difference between a penny and a life-changing fortune is nothing more than a moment of attention.